What if I told you a truck driver cracked the code to building a crypto empire? Meet Bitcoin Ben. He went from driving 18-wheelers to creating 6 different ways for regular people to stack Bitcoin and build wealth. This isn't just another crypto course. This is a complete ecosystem where you earn while you learn. First up, the confidential bulk purchase program. Get Bitcoin at wholesale prices through group buying power. Then there's Home to HODL. Convert your home equity directly into Bitcoin instead of cash. Need funding? The Loans for Bitcoin program gets you the capital to buy more crypto. Want passive income? Private Key Capital puts your Bitcoin to work. Hungry for something different? Bitcoin Ben's tokenized beef lets you invest in real cattle backed by blockchain technology. And if you want to mine? Bitcoin Ben's mining program gets you started with the right equipment and knowledge. But here's the kicker. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club pays you to learn. Earn 10% on direct referrals, 5% on second level, 2% on third level. This might be the only membership where you make more than you pay. Ben went from 10 years behind the wheel to becoming the world's most unlikely crypto expert. Now he's sharing everything through live training, community events, and proven systems that work. Ready to stop watching from the sidelines? Join Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club today and start stacking sats while building your financial future. Your truck driving days are over. Your crypto empire starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J, and I'm Dr. J, here to share a few moments with you today. I'm sitting in the lovely Dallas Club. See that? I got my cup of coffee. This beautiful cup of coffee from Michael is here and Flanagan is here, and these guys are working hard. So anyway, I'm in the Dallas Club, and why am I in the Dallas Club today? There is a big event going on, which is called NABS, the North American Blockchain Symposium, I think. Let me see. Make sure that I'm saying it right. So Summit, North American Blockchain Summit, NABS. It's called NABS. And it's an event where, there's a lot of lawmakers, there are policymakers, there are, blockchain, and Texas is really taking the leadership in blockchain because they understand that blockchain is the foundation, the ciphered arc around which tokenization is going to happen. And energy is big in Texas, as you well know. Energy is huge. Ben talked a lot about energy this week, and there's a reason for it. Because we're going to get in the energy game. So anyway, a lot of policymakers will be here. A lot of businesses will be here. Some of the biggest blockchain companies, some of the biggest Bitcoin companies, the treasury companies, and all of the innovation that's going on in blockchain and Bitcoin is gathering here. So we were not going to be left behind. We're certainly going to be at the event, meeting people. But also we are doing a NABS blockchain after party. So that's at 7:30 to 10, right here at the Dallas Club, which is located at 8920 Coit Road in Plano, Texas, 8920. So everybody who's around in this neighborhood, come on, come one, come all, and come to our block party. I'm going to be here. Our team will be here, and we're going to have this after party for NABS, right? So that's what's going on here right now in Dallas, and it's an exciting time for our company. I'm actually sitting in this beautiful little corner in our Dallas office, which is called the Wall of Fame, and it has all the greats. As you can see, there's Michael Saylor over my shoulder. We have Mozart. We have Menger, we have Hayek. These are the Austrian economists who basically revolted against the centralized printing of money, the foundation of blockchain. And somewhere up there is hopefully Turing, Alan Turing, the fellow who actually discovered or created and broke the Enigma machine, which ended the World War with Hitler, right? Because we were able to hack into that code, and the art of cryptography began, and today we reap the benefits. We see our wallets value go up. I think I saw that screen today, 123, 124, somewhere there. But, Ben is predicting that the price of Bitcoin is going to continue to rise into the end of the year in the 175, 180 range. Let's see where it goes. But we're on the right trajectory. That's the most important thing, that this is real. It's driving forward. And this digital layer of capital that is forming is starting to take shape in a way that is going to allow us to actually leverage digital credit. And on my last show, I talked a little bit about it. And if you remember, I kind of laid out the world into three layers. There's the digital capital layer, the store of value, the way we securely store our Bitcoin. And then on top of that, on that digital capital is digital credit, which is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, because credit is going to be built on sound money. Credit is going to be built on the most valuable asset that is known to man, right? That's Bitcoin. That's going to evolve into a whole new market. And then eventually there's going to be a settlement layer, which will be the digital settlements. And I think, Jack and PayPal and Apple, they're already taking the leadership and initiative for small and medium businesses, merchants, to actually receive their money, convert it directly into Bitcoin, and start to store it. So we're starting to see the settlement layer. And these are all very, there's a lot of deep thinking that needs to be done about each one of these areas. But we at the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club and at the Private Key Capital are certainly taking the leadership role in each phase of this evolution. And so I want to spend I want to spend most of my time today on just the digital capital layer and why we are the leaders in this today. So going back to last week, something pretty remarkable happened. I was at the Washington, D.C. Bitcoin conference, and there were wonderful speakers from all around the world, and the ambassador from El Salvador was here. And I understand Ambassador Mayorga is hand-chosen by President Bukele, who, by the way, is here. I got to show you that one. So there he is, up right there. President Bukele is on the wall of fame here in our club. We like him. We love him. He's doing great things for his country, and by creating open policies and legislation that allow our credit union to store Bitcoin in a native format. He's the only country that allows us to do that, right? So that's a beautiful jurisdiction. It's going to keep on attracting entrepreneurs. It's going to keep attracting capital. It's going to keep attracting technology and development. And I think it is well on its path to becoming a very successful country. Our investments in that country over the next 10 years will continue to appreciate, and we will continue to make more investments in that part of the world. The world is going to become divided into the free world that adopts Bitcoin, that adopts free digital money that's custodied with us, we the people, versus the slave world, which Christiana Lagarde proposes. She claims Bitcoin has no value, even though euro has dropped more than 99% against Bitcoin in the last 5 years. So that's a broken system. They're clinging on to the vestiges of a broken system. It's failed. And yet BIS, the International Bank of Settlement, is sitting there trying to hold on to that power in Basel, right? It's the Federal Reserve of Federal Reserves, the most defunct organization that will be essentially made useless as we continue to grow in strength and prosperity. We're going to have to fight fire with fire. And we need to keep making Bitcoin stronger. So what are we doing towards it? So Ambassador Mayorga was at the DC conference, And before she goes on stage with Stacy and Max to talk about El Salvador, I had a conversation with her, and I updated her and informed her that we are not only building our El Salvador credit union called Private Key Capital, but we are also going to be able to do transactions to deposit Bitcoin directly into a wallet, this October. And she turned around and asks me and says, "Are you sure you can do this?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. We will be able to do this," because she informed me that President Bukele has made a public statement, a global statement, that El Salvador will be the first country in the world that'll have a native Bitcoin hybrid bank within the next 12 months. So that's in 2026. So he said El Salvador will be the first country and the first bank in the world that'll accept Bitcoin. And I informed Madame Ambassador that we would be able to do that in 2025. And she said, "You know what? There's one other company in El Salvador that is trying to do that. Are you sure you can do it?" And I said, "Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Our developers are working around the clock to be the first." So she goes on to stage and announces that, by the way, I've heard that there are 2 Bitcoin banks, credit unions in El Salvador that could even potentially accept Bitcoin before 2025 is over. So the press picked up all that news. I mean, in fact, so this was amazing, and we are one of those 2. Now, I know that other bank is somewhere in El Zonte. I don't know their timeline. All I know is I've told our developers, our 8-10 developers who are building the wallet from scratch, we're building the whole infrastructure, integrating that into our general ledger system. I told them, do not leave the office, do not leave your computer, eat there, sleep there. I'll send you money for as much pizza as you want, but stay where you are and keep coding, and don't stop till you're finished coding this thing, right? So I'll show you, this little headline which came out, and I don't know if you can see it on screen, but it says El Salvador set to launch world's first Bitcoin bank blending fiat and crypto. And then it goes on to say El Salvador will make financial history once again as it prepares to open the world's first 2 Bitcoin banks before the end of 2025, according to Ambassador Milena Mayorga. The announcement was made during Bitcoin DC, where she highlighted the country's continued leadership and financial innovation, right? And then she confirmed that both institutions will operate using fiat, which our credit union does because we purchased a regular credit union, and Bitcoin, reinforcing El Salvador's commitment to integrating traditional and digital economies together. It then, goes on to say El Salvador's ongoing transformation has positioned it as a global reference point for cryptocurrency adoption, fostering dialogue, etc. And there's a big picture of her on stage with Max and Stacy. All right, so this is starting to get real, guys. This is starting to get real for me. There is a real possibility, and please pray for all of us and our team in El Salvador that's working really hard. We want to be the first bank. We want to be the first credit union in the world that'll do that first live transaction where a Bitcoin is deposited into the wallet of a real bank that we have built. It'll go down in history, right? Because no other country even has banking regulations that allow credit unions and banks to accept Bitcoin. El Salvador is the only one. And within El Salvador, there are many banks, but there are only 2 that are even close to being able to do it this year. We are one of them. And I'm headed over to El Salvador. I'm going to go home for the weekend after I'm here in Dallas, spend a day or 2 with my wife and kids. And then Monday or Tuesday, I'm actually headed back to El Salvador, where I'll stay for the whole week and see if we can do that soft transaction. So we're really, really hoping our technology will work and it'll come together. And once we do that first transaction, we will become the world's first credit union to ever do a Bitcoin transaction into a hybrid treasury. That'll be unbelievable, because once the transaction is done, it's written into the blockchain. No one can say, no, you didn't do it. It's there. It's there for the world to see. So this is a very exciting time for our club, for all of our members, for each one of you who has, sort of believed in us and invested in us and worked with us and given us the opportunity to even place ourselves in this wonderful position. So I'm really excited about it. I think if next week I'll give you an update from El Salvador, because I will be there next Thursday, and with the team, and we'll see where we are at. But if we pull this off, we'll be in really good shape. Now, let me take a quick break here, and I want to come back and tell you and go a lot into detail as to what the architecture is of our wallet, of our bank. It's really important that you know that this wallet that we're building, that integrates into your checking and savings account, is a completely distributed treasury. It's a multi-sig distributed treasury. No one has that architecture. I'll explain why that is the case. We're literally going to file a patent around it. We are the world's first distributed treasury credit union, and it's completely node based. So we're not just going to the blockchain. We are running our own complete node, a whole node that belongs to us. No one else actually verifies our transactions before we write it into the blockchain, into the on-chain where all the Bitcoin will be stored. But we are running our full node. We don't rely on a third party. We don't rely on any other outside agency to validate the transactions that we are doing. We have a whole Bitcoin node which sits within this broader ecosystem. It's the most secure architecture ever built for money. That's what we're building. That's what you are building. That's what you are a part of. And you'll have the bragging rights, hopefully, fingers crossed, to say that we're the world's first Bitcoin treasury that accepted Bitcoin deposits, native Bitcoin deposits. So with that, I'm just going to take a quick word from our sponsors, Sherpa, and then I'll be back, and we're going to talk about the mathematics of trust and our architecture and what we are building, because it's really exciting. And for those of you who like details, I'm going to give you some. Back to you, Sherpa.
For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from BitcoinBens Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here.
And welcome back. Damn, I recorded that ad no more than 3 or 4 months ago. And here we are on the precipice of actually being able to deliver on that promise of future of finances finally here. So let's take a walk down memory lane. And many of you are old enough to remember, going up the stone or marble stairs of a bank, marble floors. Everything was brass locks and rails with little brass and gold and red tape. Cameras and humming the tube lights above you. Always the same, As long as man holds the key, there's greed and corruption. That's what those traditional banks were all about. And they repeated the same mistakes over and over again. I mean, we've had more break-ins and bank break-ins and Federal Reserve break-ins. I mean, all sorts of terrible things have happened in that traditional system where man guards the money, not mathematics. And so what is starting to happen is that kings and generals and bankers are being replaced by the true power of mathematics, elliptical functions, private keys, the birth of cryptography. You might remember, or some of you might have seen the movie, there was this fella, Alan Turing. And, he was the guy who broke the Enigma machine, which Hitler was using to send coded messages to all of his submarines and to his planes and to his army, on how to take over the world. And the free world at that time, the free world, England and the other countries were struggling. So anyway, Turing breaks that code. And in doing so, he effectively rewrites the human relationship, with secrecy. Right. So he realizes that logic can replace trust. I mean, in many ways, I see Alan Turing as the forefather, the father of what we call Bitcoin today. Yeah, Hal Finney did a lot of stuff, and the Austrian economists did that. But at the heart of our bank, the heart of what we are building, because I've reflected long and hard about this. What are we building? Why do we believe our Bitcoin, when we put it in there, is secure? Why is it secure? I'm going to tell you about it. Because it's built on the truth of numbers. See, it doesn't require any trust from you or me, greed, power, human follies. That's been the folly of the banks, of every financial institution that has tried to hold on to power. Absolute power has corrupted absolutely. And so anyway, the war ends because Turing is able to break the messages, and the Allied forces know exactly where their submarines are and where their movements are going to be. And it became very clear information is power. So then we fast forward to roughly 1975, 76, and this thing called a public key, a miracle called a public key cryptography becomes available. Unlike a physical lock and a key, here we have two keys, one to lock and one to unlock. But it's digital. It's in the mid-70s, right? And suddenly strangers can trade secrets across oceans and without ever meeting, as long as one of them has a digital lock and the other has a digital unlock, right? And then comes right around that time, the RSA. Many of you have seen the RSA security system that actually powers the internet. It was named after three guys. I can't remember. I wrote them down. Hold on. Yeah. So these guys were called Rivest, Shamir, and Edelman. RSA, Rivest, Shamir, and Edelman. They birthed this thing called asymmetric cryptography that essentially becomes the RSA code, which becomes the foundation of the internet as we know it. But fast forward to Bitcoin, fast forward to Satoshi, fast forward to Hal Finney, fast forward to Adam Back, the greats that we read about. That's very recent history, right? So what they did was they built on the foundation that Turing had started of cryptography and RSA, and they discover something amazing, the geometry of elliptical curves. So when they say you have a private key, many of us think of, oh, I've got a little funky 256 hash number written down somewhere in some database. Not true. The key doesn't exist. You never see it. It's created in real time based on the geometry of elliptical curves. And it's secured by the irreversible beauty of hashing. And what that allows us to do, I mean, that's the power of Bitcoin. So when you talk about Bitcoin, you're really talking about SHA-256. You're talking about elliptical curve geometry. You're talking about reverse hashes, a trustless financial organization that cannot lie. So at the heart of this Bitcoin, the thing that's called Bitcoin, now you've heard it described in many, many ways. I'm simply focusing on our credit union, the bank that we are building, and why your Bitcoin is completely and totally secure there. I need you to know that. I need you to know that it is the most secure vault, the most secure system that has ever been built. Not just by us. We are leveraging the work of the Turings, of the RSA. We are leveraging the work of Satoshi and Finley, right? Because when you put a piece of information, whether that be knowledge about the value of one Bitcoin or any other information, through this lens of private key, you're not just encrypting it, you're transforming it. It's a one-way function. Once it goes through that wall, it has come out as a completely different creature. That elliptical curve, which is called SEC P256K1, that's actually the mathematical landscape of private keys. The private key is never stored. It's derived in real time. The signature is never shown. The proof of work is the proof that it exists. Your existence is only shown by your actions, but they never see you. That's what it's based on. So ownership can be verified by the entire world because it's written on chain. Everyone can go and verify it. Yet no one but the rightful owner of that private key has access to what everyone can see. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the architecture of the Bitcoin wallet. This wallet that we are building, which is going to be called PKC Wallet, is the invisible vault of the 21st century. And from this architecture that I just described in layers, our El Salvador treasury is born. Now, let me go to what I mean by distributed treasury. Now that you sort of understand what a treasury is, the wallet is, it stores money, it stores it in a very secure manner, it's encrypted with private keys that are not even keys, they're generated based on mathematical hash elliptical functions. There's a lot behind there. You don't need to know all of it, just like you don't need to know how this Apple phone works. It's got a lot of circuits in there. It's got a lot of chips in there. It's got a lot of rare earth metals in there. But you know how to use it. And when you're able to talk to someone using this phone, you know this works. It just does. It's kind of like that. So now imagine building a bank, which is where we started off, not out of bricks and security vaults, not of ledgers, not of tellers sitting in little glass cases and handing you out money. But imagine a vault, if you may, built of nodes and keys. Bitcoin nodes that run autonomously and keys that you never see, but they open locks. That treasury doesn't live in San Salvador or Washington, D.C. or West Palm Beach, or it lives in the digital universe. That's our distributed Bitcoin treasury. While the old banks rely on vaults of steel, we rely on the vault of mathematics. While the old system relies on permission, the bank manager has to come and sign and countersign a document that the girl at the front register signed off on. We have no such thing. We only rely on consensus. You have a key to your vault, I have a key to the vault, and the two of us can open it. And that's it. There are no hidden ledgers. Everything is written on chain. Everything can be verified transparently. And oh, by the way, it's on blockchain, the North American blockchain, immutable. So the decentralization is a very, very interesting facet of our bank, which most banks and financial institutions don't have. Why do I say that? Because when you open an account with our credit union, you are getting an individual wallet in which your Bitcoin is stored on chain. That Bitcoin is not mixed up in a treasury wallet with everybody else. You see, everything that you know of the banking system, when you go and look at your checking account, you think you have money in your account. No, that's just an Excel spreadsheet. Nothing exists there. Nothing exists in your account. The bank has accounts called Nostra and Vostra accounts, where the actual money from the Federal Reserve is kept. And they only keep a partial part of it, by the way, because it's fractional banking. And they don't even have your money. It's all fugazi. It's paper, right? It's a delusion. All you see is an Excel spreadsheet which represents your account. And in that account, the little people write down, this is how much you have. And you look at it and you say, wow, gee, I feel great. Nope. Your money doesn't exist in the old world. Your money sits in a general account. And so most of the people who have been building digital banks had the same mindset. See, they came from a world where they're conditioned. It's a conditioned mind. They're conditioned by the way it used to be. So when they started building digital treasuries, like Layden, like some Salt, and Salt actually is creating separate wallets now, at least, but they still depend on Fireblocks, which has a third-party key. But most of these banks, what they're doing is when they accept Bitcoin, even these lending companies, they put it into all of the Bitcoin into a treasury wallet. To me, that was a flaw in the architecture. You took the same problem from before, because when that company goes under, those assets that the company holds can be forfeited by the guys with the guns and the guys with the muscle. Whereas if every single person holds their own key and each wallet is individual, it's not a treasury wallet, then no one can take it from us. And I wanted that to be our architecture. It doesn't matter whether we are under El Salvador jurisdiction, your Bitcoin sits on chain and you have the keys. And we, as the bank, as the credit union, have the other keys, two keys, multi-signature, right? So in other words, if anything ever should happen in El Salvador, if the gangs come back, if terrible disasters happen, nothing happens. We release the key and you can take your money out. No one else is involved in it. Our node verifies everything. We run our own node. We don't rely on any third party. No third party has access to your keys. just you and us. Right? So this is actually built on a very, very secure distributed architecture. And if one wallet gets hacked, the other 5,000 wallets don't. So you limit exposure. This is a very, very powerful system that we are building. Now look at the catastrophes of the last 50 years. And I looked at them because, hey, we're building a financial company. I need to look at them. And what I found was every single one of them had a centralized control. Mt. Gox, it was one exchange, one key, and one mistake brought it all down. Sam Altman, FTX, one guy, one database, no proof. Nothing was being stored on chain because I guess the Democrats wanted to launder money, so had to keep everything off chain in his secret cold storage. That failed. Even traditional systems, Equifax, look at what Equifax does. One server, centralized. When that got hacked, millions and millions of victims, because everybody who was on Equifax, their information got destroyed. I mean, that got, put on dark web, and people could steal your credit cards and everything else, right? So the whole idea of centralization, it concentrates trust. And when you concentrate trust, it becomes a weapon. One insider, one exploit, one subpoena, and that entire building of stone and steel and brass crumbles. This is why our El Salvador architecture refuses central control. We didn't design a bank. We designed a constitutional system of mathematics built on the shoulders of the greats you see behind me. So as we continue to build this, even if tiny parts of the system do get compromised in the future, if ever that happens, the whole house of cards doesn't come down like in the fiat system. The rest of it stands strong. So it's actually an incorruptible kind of a system built on nodes. And the very heart of our bank, when you think of credit union and you say Private Key Capital is a credit union, it's our BitcoinBens Crypto Club credit union. The living heart of that bank is not a building. It is not a location of El Salvador. It is the node. The node is the Bitcoin node that we run, that we are building from scratch. That is the living heart of our bank. That is, where does the bank exist? It exists in the Bitcoin network as a full node. It's a full node. It keeps track of all Bitcoin transactions. And most importantly, that's the node where all of our banking transactions are verified by us before it goes out to anybody else. It's not dependent on cloud servers. It's ours. That Bitcoin node that we are building speaks directly to the Bitcoin network, verifying, relaying information, confirming the hash code. Every single transaction the bank performs is validated by our own computation first. No middlemen, no APIs, no trust me architecture, no BIS, no Federal Reserve. No, thank you. Don't want them, don't need them. And the node signs off on a transaction only because the mathematics says it's okay to sign off. There's no administrator. I don't have to sign off as president of the bank. Oh, I have approved it. I don't approve the damn thing. It's approved by elliptical, mathematical, geometric functions. It's approved by private keys. The node itself is the truth-seeking service. There's no one to approve anything. If the math says it matches, that transaction goes through. If the math doesn't match, it doesn't. That's it. There's no central party rewriting a ledger and saying, let's see, your balance has now dropped to... No, none of that stuff. It's a self-sovereign organization inside the broader Bitcoin universe. So private keys are true entropy, randomness of nature, isolated from the internet. We're actually going to have fully air-gapped systems. What do we mean? So as the node runs, every so often, and I'm not going to get into details of how frequently we do these because these are trade secrets, and we're not going to let you know where we store our nodes, even though I've shared that with Ben and a couple of others. But we have some very secure locations around the world where the system pops up for air, connects through Starlink, downloads the entire copy of the node, which is how much is there in every single wallet that we own, gets that entire node data dump in a few seconds, and goes offline, air-gapped, never to be seen again until the next time it pops its antenna up like a submarine and downloads it again from the operational server. So if someone took all of our servers out and destroyed everything, makes no difference. We have got copies of that node sitting in air-gapped locations around the world, in very secure locations, I might add. So, it's really very interesting how we are learning, we are building, and each one of these nodes, is guarded by separate, custodians of in different jurisdictions. So when the Bitcoin moves, when the Bitcoin moves from cold storage to operational liquidity, the signatures get coordinated across those air-gapped systems. So what do I mean by that? When you actually will have your wallet, you're going to see a V, a little wallet which says V, and one which says B. V is the vault portion of it. You will be only able to put in your Bitcoin into the B wallet, and from that you can send it out, you can take it out. But once you move that Bitcoin into the V wallet, which is your vault, that's what is now secure. You can't take it out without our signature, counter signature on it, but that's locked in. If you're taking a loan against your Bitcoin, if you're generating yield against your Bitcoin, it has to sit in the V wallet, which is air-gapped out. And then you got your everyday using B wallet, which is going to be able to send money and use it as your normal Bitcoin wallet, right? So this is very important. You understand that we are doing this in a manner where every transaction is being validated, signed, and broadcast over the Bitcoin network. Every single settlement is happening on chain. It's final, it's irreversible, it's uncensorable. There is no clearinghouse. There is no overnight risk of currency trade. Every movement of a Bitcoin from one wallet to another, verified by our node, sent out to the Bitcoin on-chain system, written into it for eternity. And that's the system we're building. So, I hope you have a pretty good idea of what we are trying to do here. I've only talked about the capital, the digital capital layer. I briefly mentioned the digital credit layer last week, but I want to come back to digital capital. It is the most important thing. Right now, almost every asset should be converted to Bitcoin. That Bitcoin should be put into a credit union, secure like ours. And unleash that eventually into generating yield and generating credit. But that's down the road. What you want to do right now is Bitcoin's going to continue to rise. Trillions of dollars are going to flow into Bitcoin as we go into the world of ETFs and BlackRock. I believe they've already raised some $158 billion for their BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. And it's going to continue to rise in value. So, folks, if you have equity in your home, if you've got money sitting around, I mean, put every last coin from your sofa into one of those K1 machines and convert to Bitcoin and keep it in our secure system that we're building it out with. So it's really important that you understand that what we are building is really based on really powerful mathematics. It's being done the right way, and we are poised to create financial history. We are poised as a team, as a group, as a family, as a community. The Bitcoin Ben community is what is building this, right? We're building it in the most decentralized manner. We're building it in the most truth-seeking manner. We are veering away from centralization into decentralization. And people think decentralization is chaos. No, that's actually order. That's reversing entropy. When one node fails, when one wallet fails, the network breathes on. One key holder goes away, it doesn't affect any other wallet. It's distributed. It's revolutionary. It's evolutionary. It's resilient. And it's not just a technical marvel. It's really about our Constitution. Much like our Constitution obeys the laws of God, not men, this Bitcoin treasury that we're building obeys the laws of mathematics, not men. No insider can embezzle this and change a wallet or change a ledger. No regulator can censor it. And no government can just come in and confiscate our wallets without, they can't get anything because you're holding the key. There's no vault door to kick in or a FBI raid. These cryptographic proofs are floating around in cyberspace following immutable rules of physics. So unless the rules of physics start to disappear, we're here in El Salvador creating the next chapter of Satoshi's lineage. And frankly, the ledger that we're building is not just for our people, not just for our members, but this is going to actually help the entire country of El Salvador rise. It's going to help the poor people in that country. It is going to help the unbanked people of that country. And as that light shines, the same cryptographic lineage that ended world wars, that created the internet, will now defend the hardest money ever conceived. So, from Turing's mathematics to Bitcoin verification, that's the journey we are taking. It's beautiful engineering. It's beautiful engineering. I'm really proud of all of our team members and where we are today, because this is just the beginning. This mathematical fortress floating on an ocean of code is just the beginning. This treasury will not fail because it was never built on sand. It was built on the bedrock of Turing. It was built on the bedrock of the Austrian economists Menger and Hayek. It was built on the bedrock of RSA code, which powers the internet that no one can shut down. And it's built on the bedrock of what Satoshi has done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you get a pretty good sense why your money is safe, why we are building what we are building, and why hopefully this month we will be able to do the world's first Bitcoin deposit into a treasury wallet, into a distributed treasury wallet for the first time in the world. That is our hope and prayer. If our engineers keep doing what they're doing, I believe in them. I believe they can pull it off. And I believe our team will not rest till we do that. But we have competition, and I'm sure they're working just as hard. But at the end, we all win. Because Bitcoin is only $3 trillion of a $900 trillion asset market. When we get to 20 trillion, which is where gold is, that's about 6 to 7 times the price that we are at right now. So if you're at 124, 125, multiplied by 7, that's within a couple of years, that's a foreseeable number. Not because of anything other than the fact that enormous money will flow into Bitcoin and it's scarce and it has to increase the price to keep the math running. That's just how it is. Your denominator doesn't change. If your numerator keeps getting bigger, the value is going to get bigger. Nothing you can do. So thank you for sharing this moment with me today. I'm really excited that I was able to share this, our bank's update. Please do call the number on your screen, 941-413-8080. Text that number, buy some Bitcoin, get loans, get your home to HODL, invest into mining. We're doing some great things. And certainly we will be giving you more updates as we go along. So God bless you, and God bless America and El Salvador. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.
For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from BitcoinBens Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here.